Alright, for starters, for all the idiots that don't like the talking videos, this is a talking video, so if you don't like that, just get the hell out now. There's a front door. For those of you that are staying, first off, I want to start off, I'm hoping, because it's on the damn trailer, so if I get to where I'm going with it and it starts fucking up again, I'm going to be pissed, but I think we got the battery problem solved on the 1800. We checked, because it ate 3 batteries in the span of 2 weeks. We think we got it narrowed down because we checked the voltage regulator, we checked the key switch, we checked the starter, we checked the starter solenoid, we checked the generator, we checked the grounds, we checked the cables, we checked everything. And then the light bulb popped. We've checked everything except the manifold heater system. Checked the solenoid that actuates the glow plug, and there was a 0.2 milliamp draw. That was the only parasitic draw that we had on the entire tractor. That was the only thing we could find whatsoever. Okay. Had to change the second new battery that I put on it because it junked it. It would show 6 volts. You put a load on it, it dropped to 0, so it blew all 3 cells out of it. Put a new battery in it, hooked everything up except for the manifold heater system, and let it sit there. I think it sat there for 5 or 6 days. Battery stayed up fine. Put a new manifold heater on it. It's been sitting here overnight, which last time it did it, it killed the battery in 12 hours flat. Nothing. And I started it, drove it around, loaded it on the trailer, whole 9 yards, everything worked. So, and the relay the relay we put on it, not the relay, the solenoid we put on it is a heavy duty. It's taller than the one that was on it, so hopefully that works. Had several guys say that we should have just put a battery cutout switch on it. The guys that said that must be the kind of guys that if their dog shits on the floor, they just pull a rug over rather than cleaning it up. Because on a tractor this old, when you shut that key off, you completely disconnect the battery from the system for the most part. It stays hooked to the starter, but it just goes to the starter solenoid. As long as the solenoid is open, the battery is completely disconnected from the system. There should be nothing to draw it dead. So on a tractor like that, if you have something drawing the battery dead, you have a problem. You need to find the problem. Putting a cutout switch on it wouldn't have solved a damn thing. You would have just... The parasitic draw killing the batteries was the dog shitting on the floor, and your battery cutout switch was pulling the rug over the dog shit rather than cleaning it up. That's the best way, that's the best analogy I got for it. Not saying that battery cutout switches don't have a place. Like my grain truck, for instance, it has an aftermarket radio in it because when we got it, it had an aftermarket RCA radio in it from like the 80s that did not work. So I took that out and put a new radio in it. Well, I made the mistake, and I call it a mistake because the truck doesn't get driven enough, of hooking up the memory function on the radio. So if that truck sits for a couple months, the memory function on the radio will draw the battery dead. It doesn't actually kill the battery. You can bring it down here, throw a charger on it, and it'll come right back. But it would just be a lot easier if it had a cutout switch on it, so when I parked it for between uses, you could just throw the cutout, you disconnect the battery from the radio, and it'll stay there. Because right now what I got to do when I park it for long periods of time is go up there, pull the battery out, bring the battery down here, put a maintainer on it, yada yada yada. In that situation, a cutout switch would be nice because you know for a fact that there is going to be a built-in draw on the battery, the memory function on the radio. So that's where a cutout switch, that's its intended purpose. In the situation we were having, it wouldn't have solved the damn thing. All you would have done was put a band-aid on it. So, hopefully that's fixed. It's at the 1800, and then the manure spreader actually on a trailer right now. We're going to a tractor show leaving tomorrow afternoon, and we'll be gone all weekend. So, no videos this weekend. I'm not even taking a camera with me. This is supposed to be a vacation. I don't want to worry about carrying a camera. I don't want to worry about anything here at the farm. I just want to go up there. We're camping. I want to be gone for 3.5 days and not have to worry about a damn thing. So, like I say, this is a vacation for me and Shelly. I'm not taking a camera. Sorry if that hurts your feelings. But sometimes I like to have some time to myself. I'm not so into growing this YouTube channel that I need to video every ounce of my life, which you only get 25% of it anyhow, because if it doesn't involve farm equipment, I don't video it. But regardless, this is a trip for me and Shelly. So, like I say, no videos this weekend. We'll be back Monday to start working on the corn head. But this video, I'm going to try to keep it relatively concise. We'll see how that goes. I've actually wanted to make this for... Now, basically, I got the idea in my head. If anybody remembers this spring when I was planting beans for my boss, I had to put up a community post of the Soundguard cab saying that I don't understand the hype behind it, and boy, did that piss the John Deere guys off. Oh my God. You'd have thought you shot their dog. And I had one guy accuse me of I was just too biased towards Oliver and I couldn't appreciate it. So I'm going to explain my biases. So, for starters, we're going to pick on the John Deere guys. And I've said this in a video before, so before I go offending anybody, there are two types of people with John Deere equipment. There are people that run John Deere equipment, and then there are John Deere guys. Difference being, the people that run John Deere equipment just run it because it's what's always been around, it's convenient, they got good dealer service, yada, yada, yada. It's what they've been around, so it's what they got. John Deere guys are the guys that will sit there and jerk off to a picture of a 40/20, and if you're not running green and yellow, you're not even farming, don't talk to them, they don't want to associate with you. Those are the John Deere guys. And my favorite, I found this meme, it's been a long time ago. This picture right here is the perfect picture of how the rest of the tractor community views John Deere guys. Right here. The only thing I would have done different was rather than saying 4320, I'd have said 4020, and instead of synchro range, I'd have said Soundguard cab. But anyway, so here's my bias towards John Deere. For starters, because the video of planting hay the other day, I had a bunch of guys giving me shit because, oh my God, I was running a John Deere. Oh my God, I said some nice things about a John Deere. Damn right I said nice things about a John Deere. That little 520 is a sweet, she's a peach. It runs good. It's completely original Survivor. I mean, it's a cherry. I don't know why anybody wouldn't appreciate a tractor like that. It's a good, honest little workhorse. And it's not bad to drive for short periods of time. That day was too damn long. I don't care what brand of equipment I'm running. If you park me in a piece of farm equipment for a day, I'm happier than hog and slop. I just like running equipment. I don't care what color it is. Really don't give a shit. I run Oliver because this is what's always been around. This is what I like. This is what I'm most familiar with. You collect one color. When you bring another one home, nobody notices. Yes, I like Oliver more than the rest just because of those reasons. It's what I'm used to. That's the way most everybody is that has a certain color in the barn. Here's my thing I got against John Deere. My distaste for John Deere doesn't even come from farming. Doesn't even come from the equipment. It comes from two main factors. First, the company policies they have, the corporate structure they have, and how they like to fuck over other companies. Case in point, look at the shit that they tried to pull over the Max Emerge row units with John Kinzenbaugh. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, pick up 50 Years of Disruptive Innovation. It's Kinsey's basically biographical book about how he started the company and through the years and all that crap. There's an entire chapter over the lawsuit that he had with John Deere over the Max Emerge row unit. And how John Kinsey and his one little hometown lawyer whooped John Deere's ass and their entire slew of multi-million-dollar lawyers because John Deere infringed on multiple patents of other companies. Well, at that point when they came out with that row unit, the patents had actually expired, so they didn't technically infringe on any patents. But once a patent has been done, you can't repatent the same shit. And my favorite part of this, one of the main things is the gauge wheels. John Deere tried to patent the floating gauge wheels that act as blade scrapers. Yeah, they copied Oliver on that. That's my favorite part. They copied Oliver. To the point that when John Deere issued the patent, or when John Deere submitted the patent, they literally took a picture out of an Oliver brochure for those gauge wheels, made the picture black and white, and submitted that with their patent. Kinsey's lawyer found the picture of it, the color picture of it in the Oliver brochure, slapped that thing on the desk in the courtroom and said, yeah, that. And they did that. There was an Oliver patent that they tried to redo, and there was an International Harvester patent from like the 20s or 30s, and there was a couple other ones. I'd have to go back and reread the chapter in the book, but if you don't believe me, buy the damn book. There's an entire chapter in there on it. John Deere pulled that bullshit. That being said, that goes both ways. In the late 90s, when it had to have been the early 2000s, I think, when John Deere brought out their, 8000 series track tractors, like the 8400T, yada, 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 Caterpillar tried to sue them for patent infringement, and John Deere actually got Caterpillar with an Oliver patent because Oliver was actually the first one to put rubber tracks on a crawler back in the 50s. Named Track Model HGR. John Deere got Caterpillar with that patent. So that coin flips both ways. So there's the thing with Kinsey. There is, look at what they did to Wagner when John Deere contracted with them to build them four-wheel drives. They bought what, like 30 tractors and then canceled the contract. But the way it was written, Wagner couldn't build tractors anymore because of a no-compete clause with John Deere, because they were supposed to be building tractors for John Deere for, I think it was like 10 years, something like that. So they pull that bullshit, and it's just the way the company is in general about, like, for instance, we have a guy here in town that is big into farm toys. That's his business. He sells farm toys to the point where he's big enough he will actually go out to meetings in Dyersville, Iowa, with Earl and all the farm toy companies, and where they sit down with lawyers from farm equipment manufacturers and submit the ideas for models that they want to be able to build, and the lawyers and all the representatives from the farm equipment companies say, yeah, it's okay to do this, or no, it's not okay to do this, or check and make sure logos and everything are correct, and yada, yada, yada. He said, by far, hands down, John Deere is the biggest pain in the ass, even on getting farm toys made. Companies that build John Deere licensed products, it's just, my God, they're such a pain in the ass to deal with. It's got them where they are today, okay, but still, it's fucked up how they do things. The second thing comes from that 50 to 60% of people that have John Deere equipment that are John Deere guys, and they are just straight up assholes. Like, don't get me wrong, every color has their own little group of guys that are just, their shit's better than everybody else's, and if you don't run their color, they don't want to deal with you, and yada, yada, yada. But it seems like, for some reason, John Deere gets way, way more than their fair share of that group of people. Like, you ever been to a two-cylinder expo? You go to a two-cylinder expo, because I've been to, what, two? I've been to a couple. You go to a John Deere expo. I've been to a couple John Deere expos. I've been to a Red Power Roundup. I've been to a Gathering of the Orange. I've been to multiple Oliver shows. All these shows you go to, nothing's roped off. Guys are more than happy to talk to you, shoot the shit. You got questions, they'll answer them. You go to a damn John Deere two-cylinder expo, everything's roped off. Most of the shit they got to roll off on trailers because they slapped a $10,000 paint job on a rust bucket and the shit won't even run. You ask questions, they'll just stick their nose up in the air, don't even want to talk to you. I mean, just that group of people, and like I say, it's not all of them. I'm talking about the John Deere guys, not the people that run John Deere equipment here. So if you if you're part of that group, don't get offended here. I'm not talking about you. They are just unpleasant to be around. They're not even fun to talk to. Like that picture I showed you just a minute ago. All they do is show up and talk shit, and everybody just like, shut up, we don't care. But for some reason, if they aren't heard, they get all butthurt about it. Or if you say something to disrespect Mother Deere, my God, you shot their dog. Like, I don't know. And the equipment, it's not even that. It's perfectly past the 2-cylinder era. There's nothing wrong with it. I don't think it's any worse or any better than any other equipment built today. In the 2-cylinder era, once you get past about 1948, they were fucking way behind everybody else. I don't even know how the hell they sold those things up until 1959, but I don't get it. Like, hand clutch sucks. Brake placement sucks. When they came out with power steering, their power steering sucked, even if you had the tractor wound out. Like, ergonomically, they suck. They're uncomfortable to run. They're annoying to run. Like, everything about a 2-cylinder sucks. The only thing I will give a 2-cylinder, when it came to placing that, from the very point that they came out with Power Troll all the way up until they built the last 730, they were on point when they placed the hydraulic controls right here next to the seat. Throw on the levers was good. They were detented. They were leaps and bounds ahead of everybody when they put their hydraulic controls right here where they belong. And then John Deere came out with the 10 series, and what they had been building for what, 12, 13 years, they said, fuck that, we're going to throw everything up on the dash where it's awkward as hell. And then it took them until, when did the console tractors come out? 72, 73, somewhere in there? And then the John Deere guys were like, oh my God, why doesn't anybody else, or like, this is the greatest thing in the world. I can't believe nobody else has ever put their levers next to the seat where they belong. Everybody else has been putting their levers next to the seat since by at least 1964, 65. Oliver started it in 1960. John Deere had it, and then for X many years in the 10 series and early 20 series, they said, fuck that, we're going to put it all up on the dash. Where you're trying to raise it, or you're trying to look back and work an implement, and you got to lean up on the dash and run the damn levers. That's like the damn hand clutch. You're trying to back up to an implement, and you got your hand on the hand clutch trying to push the hand clutch forward, and you're trying to lean back up, the shit don't work. Like, I don't get it. And then when they did came up with the console, they made the damn levers too far, or too tall, and they're too far back, so you got to reach clear the hell up here and behind you to run the levers. If they'd have moved them forward 6 inches and dropped them 6 inches, it would have been great. And then, unless you physically bought the 8-speed power shift, you have no power shift option. Everybody else had a shift on the go option, no matter what transmission option, unless you specifically opted out of, like a straight shaft International or a straight shaft Oliver. If you specifically opted out of a power shift option, obviously you didn't have power shift. But I spent 2 days running my boss's 4000, field cultivating that hayfield. You know how damn annoying it is being used to having a shift on the go capability with an Oliver, and then you go to a John Deere that's just, 4000's not even a synchro, because they took the synchros out to cheapen the tractor up, but you know what I'm saying, it's a synchro transmission, not the synchros. You know how you go from a tractor with shift on the go to a synchro. The tractor had enough balls to pull the field cultivator I was pulling in 6th gear, but you got to the end row, 6th gear was too fast because the ground was too soft and you couldn't turn it with just plow. So I had to do the whole field in 5th gear because that was slow enough that you could turn on the end, and you weren't going to spend the whole time shifting up and down every time you wanted to turn. It was annoying. Like, get off your 40-20 soapbox. No. And then you got an 8-speed power shift. It takes a 5-plow tractor, and a power shift takes so much horsepower it turns into a 4-plow tractor. Like, no. It's a perfectly adequate tractor. It's not what you guys make it out to be. Just because they built umpteen thousand of them doesn't mean it was a good tractor. It means they hit the market in the right place at the right time. if it wasn't for IH's debacle with the 560 and the rear end fucking up in those, John Deere never would have got first place, because IH was bigger than John Deere all along until the 560 came out. But same thing, IH was having issues with the 560. Deere came out with a 4010. It was a better tractor. So they hit the market the right place at the right time. That's what got them where they were. Sheer luck. Well, sheer bad luck on IH's part and sheer good luck on John Deere's part. So, for the John Deere guys, get off your fucking soapbox. Nobody cares. Literally nobody. Everybody else can sit down and have a civil conversation about farm equipment and not get upset about it. And then you guys show up and it's like, you're just not even cool to be around. Like get off your soapbox and become a normal person. And as far as my biases go, this is how biased I am. So, the list of tractors that I would like to own, granted, the biggest thing stopping me from probably ever owning this list of tractors is my eyes get this big and my wallet gets this big. So, I want a Cockshut 570 diesel wide front. I want a Cockshut 50 diesel. I want a Minneapolis Moline G1000 Vista diesel. I want a Minneapolis Moline UBD. I want a Minneapolis Moline M670 Super Diesel. I want a Ford 9600 because they're just sharp tractors. We're going to go down the IH list, because if I wasn't farming with Oliver, I'd be farming with IH, because IH is probably my second favorite. So I want a Super MDTA with a fast hitch. I want a 350 diesel narrow front with a fast hitch. I want a 460 diesel. I want a 560 diesel. I want an 806. I want a 1206. I want a 1026. I just want a black stripe. I prefer a 1066 or a 1466, either one. What else? I'd like a Louisville Super M. That'd be neat. I want a Cub High Crop. I want a square body Cub, but I want the red paint scheme. And they didn't build that many of those. Those are kind of hard to find. And one thing I didn't know is there was a transition period in the square hoods where they actually made a red frame and a white hood before they went to a yellow frame and a white hood. But they only built about 300 of them, but it'd be neat to find one of those. What else? I want a 340 row crop diesel. Those are hard to find, but I've seen one and they're really sharp. They're really sharp little tractors. I think that covers most of the IHs. I want a Alice Chalmers 210 or a 220. I want an Alice Chalmers D21 Series 1 because I want the chrome. I want a Massey Ferguson 1100 narrow front because I saw one on the cover of Heritage Iron and I thought it was a cool little tractor. What else? This is going to be weird. I want a Fendt Favorite 914. I think that's the right model. Because when I watch a lot of videos of European farming, and I see a lot of Fendts, the older, that boxier body style Fendt. And you put those front wheel assists on big metric tires and straight pipe them, oh my God, they sound good. And I think it'd be cool to have one. Probably never going to own one because the only way you're going to find one is to import it from Germany, and Lord knows how much that would cost, but it'd still be neat to own one. What else here? I want an Altman Taylor, we're going way back now. I want an Altman Taylor 3060, but I will never, I mean, those are getting to the point where they're selling for millions of dollars, close to $1 million. I'll probably never own one of those. I want a John Deere Unstyled G or Unstyled A. I'd take either one on steel. I want a John Deere 3020 diesel power shift narrow front. I want a John Deere 6030. see, I've covered International, I've covered Ford, I've covered Alice, I've covered Deere. What else is there? There's got to be more. I know there's more. I'd like to have a Nuffield. That'd be kind of neat. Oh, I want a Ford County conversion. One of the bigger ones. Like an 1124, something like, maybe even a Super 6. I just think they're really neat. They look cool. I think it'd be cool to have a Mirror Hill too, one of the bigger ones. Probably one with the Perkins V8 would be neat. I'd like to have I'm trying to remember the model number. It's a German built International. A 1456 or 14. Yeah, is it a 1456 XL? That sounds right. I think. I'm pretty sure it's a 1456 XL. Pretty sure that's it. Same thing because, well, they've got a synchro range transmission, so you can shift them on the go, and they just sound really damn good. And they look sharp, all done up. Same thing, most cases. They're front wheel assist. You see guys where they're putting them on big metrics and stuff. They just, you do them upright, they look cool. And it's different. I like stuff that's a little different. It'd be cool to have Land's Bulldog too. There are a few of those floating around over here. Most of those come in from Canada. But regardless, you get the idea. I'm not to the point where I'm going to say I only want Oliver. I don't want any other color. I like all. I like muscle tractors. I like 60, 70. I like horsepower, black smoke, turbo whistles. I like big tractors. Don't really care what color it is. I'll run anything. It's just Oliver's what we got here. And like I say, the only thing stopping me from branching out is the bank account. It doesn't. My wants outstrip the funds that I have to provide for my wants. So like, just because I'm not as biased as everybody makes me out to be. Yes, I like Olivers, and yes, it is really, really fun to make fun of John Deere because the John Deere guys get so butthurt about it. It's not even. It is funny, and it's just like I say. I had that picture of that Soundguard cab, and let me tell you about the Soundguard cab. Yes, when John Deere came out with it in, what was it, 73 or 74, it was probably the best cab on the market. By 1980, everybody else had caught up or surpassed them. It's not that great of a cab anymore. Like, it was great for a few years, and then everybody else outstripped them, but John Deere, the ones that built 2 cylinders from the teens all the way up to 1959, the company that likes to rest on their laurels, said, we're going to run this cab for 20, 25 years and call it good. With minor updates. Like, they suck to get in and out of. The door's narrow. The PTO handle's in the way. The whole cab is narrow, so you just feel like you're like in a box when you're inside of them. The control layout is meh, but same thing as when they had the console like 4020s and stuff. The hydraulic levers are too far back, so you're reaching behind you to run the levers. The shifter and everything, that's okay. The steering wheel and everything, yes, they're an okay cab. No, they're not super duper great. Like, I would take a pod cab on a white. I know, I'm too biased. I would take a later model. One of my 2105s, an early model where the cab is still sitting on the platform, but later models, they had an actual pod cab, which was rubberized. The cab was built with everything into it, and then it sat on isolation mounts just like every other newer style cab. The cab's wider, there's more glass area you can see, but the visibility out of the back of a Soundguard cab, especially down to the drawbar, is atrocious. You can't see the damn drawbar unless you open up the back window. At least that's the way my boss's 2 tractors are, because he's got the 4240 and a 4450, and they're both that way. You cannot see the damn drawbar to hook up the implement unless you open up the back window. It's annoying. And I am probably one of the few guys that will say, I will take an 86 series IH cab over a Soundgarden cab. Yeah, they kind of suck to get in and out of, but once you're in them, the cab's huge, their visibility is great. Guys bitch about them because you got controls on both sides, but all your hydraulics and everything you're going to use all the time are still over here, and the only thing over here is your shifter. So once you're in your gear, you got your TA. So when you're in the field, the only thing you're going to be using is your TA. Yeah, okay, use it for a loader tractor. You're going to be running a shifter over here a lot, but how many people have a loader on a 1086? Like, your loader tractor is going to be a smaller chore type tractor anyhow. Like, call me crazy, I like the 86 series IH cab, and the 86 series IH cab is big enough you can fit 3 full-size people in it if you really wanted to. I've done it multiple times with my buddy's 1086. There's enough room behind you. You can have 2 people sitting up on the, and anybody that grew up around an 86 series IH cab knows what I'm talking about. You got the little ledge behind you that you probably sat on as a kid while Dad was driving. You can fit 3 full-grown people in that cab because you sit back there, you got enough headroom to sit up erect, and then you can put your feet on the rails on the door, and then whoever's driving still got enough room to run the controls. Done it before. You're going to struggle to get 2 people in a Soundgarden cab and be comfortable. It's decent. It's not the end all be all. Get off your high horse. Nobody cares. That's what I'm trying to say here. So no, it's not that I'm biased. It's that I know what I like in a tractor, and I mean, yeah, it's not bad to run, but it's not the greatest thing in the world either. Not saying that Oliver is the greatest thing in the world either. I can pick apart this 1955 right now. No diff lock, dry brakes. The chain coupler is a terrible idea. Should have had bigger hydraulic reservoir. Actually, what they should have done was the same thing everybody else did. Made the rear end the reservoir and ran universal hydraulic fluid, or Hytran, in it, instead of having a separate rear end and hydraulic reservoir. The hydraulic valves do leave some to be desired. What else? The cab, they should have been working on a pod cab by this point. That being said, the cabs that were on these were not that far off as far as quiet goes from a John Deere Soundgarden. Like, John Deere barely beat them out on decibel level on the cabs that came out on these, the big boxy white cab. What else can we say about it? Obviously, the 310, terrible idea. Should have been 400 cubes or bigger like everybody else in this horsepower class. 3-speed was perfectly adequate. The nice thing about the 3-speed is it's cheap to rebuild. Like, as long as you didn't have bearing failure or anything where it physically put metal through the 3-speed, if you're just doing clutch packs and seals, you can do that thing for about $1,200. I'd like to see you do a John Deere power shift for that. Not saying John Deere power shift is bad. The 8-speed sucks. Just saying that right now. 15-speed, good. 8-speed sucks. Sorry, not sorry. That's the biggest things I can think of right now. Like I say, it's not the greatest tractor in the world. It had its faults. I told you what they are right here, right now. They could have done better. They didn't. Get over it. They would have done better if White hadn't fucked up, but you'll have that. A lot of companies could have said that. IH could have done better if management hadn't fucked up. So, draft control. Although I believe draft control on this is better overall, they could have made it a whole lot easier to change on the fly. They did it on the Whites, and technically you can retrofit the linkage off of like a 2105 onto this, but they just could have done it on this, and it would have been a lot easier, because Deere's got them beat on that. You just got the lever down here, you change load ranges. Yeah, so, anyway. For the people that are saying I'm just too biased towards Oliver, they don't know what the hell they're talking about, so. I think I've pretty much covered everything I wanted to cover here. Like I say, I've been wanting to make this video. Actually, I've probably been longer than that because everybody loves the deer bashing video, but And notice I didn't necessarily bash John Deere equipment. I just bashed the people that own it, and I bashed the company. John Deere equipment, perfectly adequate. Does suck to work on. Apparently John Deere guys like laying on their back. Like, I had to put in my boss's 4000. The hydraulic pump was getting flaky. Well, actually, it started off, leave it to John Deere to take all the hydraulics are on the rear of the tractor. So what are we going to do? We're going to mount the hydraulic pump all the way up the front. So we got to take the hydraulic oil all the way to the front, turn around and take it all the way to the back. We could have just mounted the pump on the transmission somewhere. But I had to change the transmission, or to change the hydraulic pump on that 4000 because the damn drive coupler, you got your clamps and then your rubber bushings and the pins that the rubber bushings are on. Well, one of the pins had broke off, so it was driving the entire hydraulic pump off of one pin, and it was cogging. And the pump was noisy to begin with, and it was leaking, and we were worried that it had damaged the front bearing because Lord knows how long they had been running it like that, but by the way it was worn, it was a while. So I had to change the pump in it. I don't like the fact that I had to crib the tractor up, drop the front axle, and drop this 150-pound combination of a cast pump mount and then this hydraulic pump out of a spot that it really doesn't even fit in, out the bottom, and then turn around. And that was the easy part. Putting it back in was the bitch because you didn't have gravity helping you anymore. Like, and then I had to work on the starter in that 520, and same thing. It's up in this hole, and you got to take the clutch cover, or take the flywheel cover off and undo this linkage, and then take a pan off and lay on your back and drop this starter out. It's like I can walk up to this thing, pop the side panel off, 3 bolts. I got the starter out, and I did the whole thing standing up. This thing here, I could walk up to the side, take one floor pan off, 2 bolts, 2 bolts, 2 hoses, 1 steel line. I can take the pump off, and I did the whole thing standing up, and if it's still got a rolling chassis, because he did it on all 4 wheels. It's like, they suck to work on. Like, everything about them sucks. Sorry, not sorry, it's true. I can say it because I've been working on Deere equipment for the last 7 months now. Like, get off your high horse. It's not that great. It's perfectly adequate for what it was, but it's not any better and it's not any worse than the competition. The only thing Deere's got going for them is marketing and the fact that their finance is easy to get. Like, super duper easy to get. John Deere will finance anybody for anything. Swear to God. So, anyhow, I think we're going to wrap this video up here because I got to get home and start getting ready for tomorrow. So, we'll see how I see what kind of a dumpster fire this comment section turns into, because it's going to be interesting to see. So, anyhow, I guess that's it for this one. We'll catch you guys on the next one.